Yeah? Chapter 20, in construction, what is a soft change? Well, in construction, what is a soft change? Soft changes are the result of moving to the metric system where the physical size is now expressed in metric. For example, we have a 2x4 is still the same size, but it's now a 38 by 89 millimeter. In construction, what is a soft change? Soft change is a result of moving to the metric system where the physical size is now expressed in metric. For example, a 2x4 is still the same size, but now it's a 38 by 89. Hey, can you hey, hand me that 38 by 89, please. Chapter 20 question. In construction, what is a hard change? What is a hard change? Hard change is the result of moving to the metric system, and the physical size now expressed in metric has changed. So, for example, plywood, wafer board, gypsum board. So hard change is the result of moving to the metric system, and the physical size now expressed in metric has actually changed, right? So plywood, wafer board, gypsum board. Wow. Hard change is the result of moving to the metric system, and the physical size now expressed in metric has changed. Plywood, wafer board, and gypsum board. Chapter 20, what is the Home Protection Office, HPO, responsible for? What is the Home Protection Office, HPO, responsible for? It is responsible for number one, building licensing and monitoring, mandatory third-party warranty insurance. Builder licensing and monitoring, mandatory third-party warranty insurance. Number two, no interest repair loan program and PST relief for owners of leaky homes. No interest repair loan program and PST relief for owners of leaky homes. Number three, research and education. Number three, research and education. What is the Home Protection Office, HPO, responsible for? Number one, builder licensing, and monitoring mandatory third-party warranty insurance. Number two, no interest repair loan program and PST relief for owners of leaky homes, like leaky condos. And three, research and education. Chapter 20. What are four top objectives of the National Building Code or the BC Code? What are four top objectives of the National Building Code or BC Code? And number one, it is structural safety. Number two, structural safety. Number two is public health. Number three, accessibility. Number four, fire and structural protection of building. Fire and structural protection of buildings. Wow, it's getting late. Four top objectives of the National Building Code or the BC Builders Code. Number one, structural safety. Number two, public health. Number three, accessibility. Number four, fire and structural protection of buildings. Chapter 20, how do you change square feet imperial measurement to square meters? How do you change square feet? Hey, my feet aren't square. Imperial measurement to square meters. And then the answer is divide by 10.76. Divide by 10.76 if you want to change square meters to square feet. If you do square feet to square meters, you divide by 10.76. If you want to change square meters to square feet, you multiply by 10.76. 10.76. There you go, man. Do it. Chapter 20. When you're measuring the living area of a home, do you include the basement? When measuring the living area of a home, do you include the basement? The answer is only if it is above grade. Only if it's above grade. What does that mean? It means it's not underground? Only if it's above grade. Ha ha ha. What is a dormer? A dormer is a mini roof extension constructed on the main roof. They provide extra floor area, headroom, and light in the upper level. What is a dormer? The dormer is a mini roof extension constructed on the main roof. They provide extra floor area, headroom, and light in the upper level. Chapter 20 question, name three heating systems. Number 1, forced air heating system. Number 2, convective heating system. Number 3, radiant heating system. There are the three kinds of heating systems: forced warm air, convective, and radiant. Forced warm air, convective, and radiant. Forced warm air, convective, and radiant. Chapter 20. What are 2 disadvantages of electrical baseboard heating? What are 2 disadvantages of electrical baseboard heating? Number 1, lack of air filtration. Number 1, lack of air filtration. Number 2, baseboard occupies the wall space. Baseboard occupies the wall space. So what are the 3 bad things, disadvantages of the electrical baseboard heating? Number 1, lack of air filtration. Lack of air filtration. Number 2, baseboard occupies wall space. Baseboard occupies wall space. And I remember in Beijing, we did have the electrical baseboard heating, and it did occupy the wall space, and we had a lack of air filtration. But we were warm. Chapter 20. What is the formula for finding amperage, wattage, or voltage? What is the formula for finding amperage, wattage, or voltage? And the answer is W over V is equal to A. W over V is equal to A. Wova. W multiplied by V is equal to A. Okay? So that's the formula for finding amperage, wattage, or voltage. W is over V is equal to A. W over V is equal to A. So there. Chapter 20. What is the difference between patent and latent defects? What's the difference between patent and latent defects? Didn't we already answer this? Patent defects visible to the eye, latent not easily discovered. Patent defects visible to the eye, and latent not easily discovered. Chapter 21, what's the difference between market value of a property and a value to the owner? What's the difference between market value of a property and value to the owner? The market value is objective based on fact, while the value to the owner is subjective based on emotion. The market value is objective based on fact, and the value to the owner is subjective based on emotion. Again, what is the difference between market value of a property and the value to the owner? The market value is objective based on fact, while the value to the owner is subjective based on emotion. Chapter 21. What are 5 things that can affect sale price? What are 5 things that can affect sales price? What are 5 things that can affect sales price? Number 1, financing terms. 2, advertising. 3, time on market. 4, special purchasers. 5, sales between related parties. So there are the 5 things that affect sale price. Or we'll do it again. FATS with 2 S's. FAT SS. 1, financial terms. F. 2, A, advertising. 3, T, time on market. 4, S, special purchasers. 5, sales between related parties. So FATSS. This is for 5 things that affect sales price. So FATSS. F, financing terms. A, advertising. T, time on the market. S, special purchasers. And then 5 is sales between related parties. So it's FATSS. Chapter 21. Why is my kid so demanding? In the definition of market value, the words recent and similar are used. What do they mean? In the definition of market value, the words recent and similar are used. What do they mean? Recent is the period of time in which the prices in the area have been relatively stable. Similar. Comparables that are similar to the subject property. For example, square feet, bedrooms, similar. Okay, what is the definition of market value? What are the words recent and similar? Well, how do they mean in terms of market value? Recent means a period of time in which the prices in the area have been relatively stable. And similar means comparables that are similar to the subject property in terms of square footage, how many bedrooms, etc. Chapter 21. How do you determine if a property is being used for its highest and best use? How do you determine if a property is being used for its highest and best use? Ask the question, if the building burned down today, would the same building be constructed in its place? Ask a question, if the building burned down today, would it be the same building constructed in its place? That's for the highest and best use. What is, chapter 21 question, what is the comparative method of appraisal? What is the comparative method of appraisal? This is where you find properties to compare to the subject property that are similar and have recently sold. You find properties to compare to the subject property that are similar and recently sold. What is a comparative method of appraisal? It's when you find properties to compare to the subject property that are similar and are recently sold. Chapter 21. What is the income method of appraisal? What is the income method of appraisal? What is the income method? You find income-producing properties to compare to the income-producing subject property that is similar and has recently sold. So what is the income method? That's mostly for commercial, right? Right? For finding NOI. Find the income-producing properties compared to the subject property is producing income similar and recently sold. When would you use the cost method of appraisal? What is the cost method of appraisal? And the cost method of appraisal is, this would be used when there are no comparables. So we have no comparables, use the cost method. You cost it out. You assume the market value of a property is equal to the value of a vacant site, and then you add the cost of constructing the building or whatever you're going to put on. So cost method is when there are no comparables and you want to cost it out, you just take the vacant lot price and then add the cost of building materials and labor and all that crap. Chapter 21. When would you use the residual method of appraisal? When would you use the residual method? And you use it when the property possesses latent value. So if there's a little property in the middle of all these high rises, it's not used. Yeah, there's like in White Rock on, Martin or Foster Street? There's a property, it's near all these big tall buildings, and it's empty. So that you would value the property according to its potential, what it could be used for. Okay? Now, if that property were in some other place, like farmland, it wouldn't be as valuable. Chapter 22 question, what is the cost method of appraisal for me? What's the cost method? Wow, this is ever complicated. Square footage, 1,500, sorry. Cost per square foot to build times 50, cost was $50. Minus the depreciation, 10%. Plus the land value, $45,000, equal to the market value, $109,800. So this is the what method? This is the cost method of appraisal. So you did the square footage of the property, and how much does it cost to build? $50, for example, square footage 1,500, square footage to $50, minus depreciation 10%, plus the land value of $45,000, then you get the market value, $109,800. What is physical curable depreciation? Well, physical curable depreciation is what? It's when it can be repaired cost effectively, like, for example, needs paint. What is physical curable depreciation? It's when you can repair something cost effectively, like you need painted a little bit, just like my wall over there. Yeah, it's okay. That's called a physical curable depreciation, because you just add a little paint, you fix it. But what is a physical incurable? That means not curable depreciation. It means you cannot repair it cost effectively. For example, if the foundation of the building is in big trouble. So, man, that is big trouble. Physical incurable depreciation, like cannot be repaired cost effectively. For example, foundation. What is functional depreciation? What is functional depreciation? It's a loss in value due to outdated or inadequate design. It's a loss in value due to outdated or inadequate design. So that is like functional depreciation. Yeah, it's outdated. Out of the loop. What Chapter 22 question. What is the difference between functional curable depreciation and functional incurable depreciation? What's the diff between functional curable depreciation and functional incurable depreciation? Curable depreciation, the items can be replaced cost effectively. For example, fittings, fixtures, etc. And incurable functional depreciation is when changes are required to modernize. They're expensive, they're not cost effective. Nobody's going to spend the money on that. So we got curable functional depreciation, where the items can be replaced cost effectively. Incurable, no, too expensive. So, chapter 23, what is the formula for income method of appraisal? What's the formula for income method of appraisal? So we take the gross potential revenue minus the vacancy and bad allowance debt, and that is equal to the gross realized revenue. So we get the gross potential revenue minus the vacancy and bad debt allowance, and that is equal to the gross realized revenue. Right? And then we got the minus the operating expenses of the landlord, that equals the net operating income. Okay, so we got the gross potential revenue minus the vacancy and bad debt, then it's equal to gross realized revenue, and then we got minus the NOI, the operating expenses, then we get the NOI. That's how you find the NOI. What's the formula for yield? YIP. The yield is equal to the NOI over the sales price. The yield is over the income over the price. Income over the price. Or you say yield is the NOI over the sales price. That's easy to remember. Chapter 23, what's the big difference between potential revenue and realized revenue? What's the difference between potential and realized revenue? Potential revenue is before vacancy and bad debt have been subtracted. Realized is after. So potential revenue is before vacancy and bad debt have been structured, and realized is after. Chapter 24, what happens on completion day? Chapter 24, what happens on completion day? And the answer is A, the vendor is entitled to the net proceeds of the sale. B, the purchaser is entitled to the transfer of title. So again, the question was, what happens on completion day? The vendor is entitled to the net proceeds of the sale, and the purchaser is entitled to the transfer of the title. That happens on the completion day. Chapter 24 question, what time of day is possession? What time of day is possession? The answer is noon. The time of possession is noon, you nooner. Chapter 24, when adjusting property taxes, who pays taxes for possession day? All right, when adjusting property taxes, who pays taxes for possession day? And the answer is PPP. PPP. Purchaser pays possession. Purchaser pays possession day. The taxes for possession day. Purchaser. Property taxes are paid for the entire year on what day? Property taxes are paid every year on which day of the year? And the answer is July the 1st. July the 1st, Canada Day. That's when property taxes are paid for the entire year. Canada Day. Chapter 24 question. On a statement of adjustment, where does the commission show for the vendor? On a statement of adjustment, where does the commission show for the vendor? And it's a debit. It's on the left-hand side, the debit, the bad part. On the statement of adjustment, where does the commission show for the vendor? It is a debit. It's the sad thing. Chapter 24, on the statement of adjustment, where does the deposit show for the purchaser? And that is a credit on the statement. Credit, the happy one. Happy credit. Happy, happy, happy. On the statement of adjustment, where does deposit show for the purchaser? It's on the credit, the happy thing. Chapter 24 question. How does the tax adjustment calculated? How do you calculate the tax adjustment? So you got the days owed divided by 365 multiplied by the gross taxes, and that equals the adjustment. You got the days owed divided by 365 multiplied by the gross taxes, that's equal the adjustment. So this is for the what? This is for the tax adjustment. So it's the days owed divided by 365 multiplied by the gross taxes. That's equal to the whatever adjustment. Chapter 24 question, when does the deposit show as a debit to the vendor? When does the deposit show as a debit to the vendor? And the answer is when it's been paid directly to the vendor. When it's been paid directly to the vendor. If it was paid to Realtor in Trust, then it doesn't show up on the vendor statement. So it's only directly to the vendor. Then we would have this deposit show as a debit to the vendor, only if it's been paid directly. Chapter 25, marketing question. What is marketing myopia? What is marketing myopia? It's where the focus in a person's business is on their product, not their customers, and this is called short-sighted marketing. Marketing myopia is when you focus on their product, the business, but not on the customer. So it's called short-sighted marketing. Chapter 25 question. A realtor should create his or her own personal marketing program with 3 strategies. What are the 3 strategies for your integrated market program? Number 1, get the client. Number 2, keep the client. And number 3, get referrals. Number 1, get the client. Number 2, keep the client. And number 3, get referrals. You get the client, keep the client, and you get referrals. You get the client, keep the client, and get referrals. Chapter 25. What is marginal or incremental analysis? What is marginal or incremental analysis? Marginal or incremental analysis. This is the idea is to increase promotional expenditures until each dollar of promotion expense is matched by an additional dollar of profit. Due to many uncomfortable factors, it's very difficult, if not impossible, to establish the true relationship between promotional expenditures and the resulting sales. Marginal or incremental analysis. This is an idea to increase promotional expenditures until each dollar of promotion expense is matched by an additional dollar of profit. Due to many uncontrollable factors, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to establish the true relationship between promotional expenditures and resulting sales. Chapter 25 question, what is integrated marketing program? Integrated marketing program, get the client, keep the client, and get referrals. Get the client, keep the client, and get referrals. That is integrated marketing program. Target and niche marketing, what is that? Target marketing is promote your product to a specific type, age, gender, group of people that need or want your product. Niche marketing is to select a small target and market entirely to that group. For example, 18 to 29-year-olds. Wrong group. Target marketing is to promote your product to a specific type, age, gender, group of people that need or want your product. Niche marketing is you select a small group and market entirely on that group. Chapter 25, buying behavior, shopping behavior. What are these? So buying behavior is where a consumer decides to buy or what services to use. You compare the services, read articles to make decisions. Shopping behavior is the effort a consumer is willing to go through for a product or service. You know, they'll drive out of their way for a specialty shop. Buying behavior, this is where a consumer decides to buy or whose services to use, compare services, they read articles online to make their decisions. Shopping behavior is what effort is consumer willing to go through for a product or service. So, for example, shopping behavior could be me driving all the way to Burnaby in your production way to get the drone. So, chapter 25 question, what are the 3 P's of marketing? 3 P's of marketing. Product, price, place, and promotion. 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 So what's the difference between RAM and ROM? What's the difference between RAM and ROM? RAM is random access memory. ROM is read-only memory. Yeah. Chapter 26, what are protocols? It's a variety of language known as protocols, allow information to travel easily over the internet, a format for transmitting data between devices. What is HTML? Hypertext Markup Language is a programming language. What is an ISP? Internet provider. What is the web? It's a hypermedia-based system allows access and linking of documents worldwide. It's a website. It's a home page or front page like a table, comments, simple. When using presentation software, there are 3 things to remember. Number 1, avoid all caps, no more than 6 words per point, no more than 6 lines per slide. Wow. That's it. Bye.